Hi Mandy, I'm fine, thank you. Are you? Just getting myself organised. Can you all hear me? It is cold, isn't it, Mandy? Hiya, Landy. Hope you're okay. So what's everybody been up to? Just while I'm getting my last few bits organised. Oh dear. Hi, Karen. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Wasn't too good last week. I've had sore eyes for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I've been trying all sorts of things from over the counter that weren't working. Ended up getting some antibiotic ointment, which I had to use for 5 days and still didn't do anything. And last Sunday my eyes were so sore I just literally couldn't concentrate on anything, so that's why I wasn't here. Anyway, I ended up going to the doctor's in the week, well, doctor's phone conversation in the week, and she prescribed me a stronger antibiotic, which I started using about 3 days ago, and my eyes are feeling a lot better, and I'm touching wood as I speak. So hopefully things will start to get better. Hi Heather. Vicky is on Troll Patrol. Brilliant, thanks Vicky. 25 below. Oh my days, Vicky. Let me get rid of that while I remember. English paper piecing, Jason's doing. Wow, hi Jason. Patty is saying hello from a cold Indiana. Hi everyone from Sue. Missed you last week. Was it cancelled? Yes, Sue, sorry, I've had problems with my eyes. And I was struggling last week, so I had to cancel, I'm sorry. Alison, hi, hope you're okay. Hi JD Cougar. Mandy G is saying, gave my mat a proper clean and restuck it earlier today, ready for cutting my fabric for the quilt along. Glad you're feeling better. Oh, brilliant Mandy, well done. Yeah, the quilt along starts on the 23rd of February, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about. All the information is on the forum, which is on my website, applelover53.co.uk. So if you're not a member of the forum, go along there, request to join. And you can find out all about the quilt along, which, as I say, is going to start in a few weeks. It's fine, Sue, don't worry. Hi, Ellen, hope you're okay. Jason's saying hi, all. Okay, so today, I've just got a very simple project, really, and it's kind of more just going over how to scan and make a cut file from a scan. So I'll tell you how this came about. So, you know, some of you probably know that towards the end of last year, I moved my craft room into my office, which is where I am now. So I've come into a smaller room, but I've got everything in this room now. So I've got 2 desks. One desk is like for my computer, where I do all my computer work and blogging and editing and all that kind of thing. And then I've got a desk next to it, which is the desk that I'm sat at now, which is the one I do when I'm doing all these lives using the ScanNCut. So when I was moving everything, I've got 2 big like calyx units behind me, you know, the IKEA storage cubes, and I started going through there just to make sure if they, you know, looking to see if there was anything that I could purge or get rid of. And I came across this. Now, I have absolutely no idea where I got this, but it's one of those cup cozies. And I've obviously kept it thinking I'll make a template. JD Cougar is a cup cozy, you're right. And obviously I've never done anything with it, so Lord knows how long it's been sat in that box in the IKEA cube. So yesterday afternoon I decided to draw around it, scan it and see what I could do with it. And this is what I've made. Now, I don't know whether this is a regular size cozy or not. But obviously, like I say, it's come from somewhere. It's been round a cup. I've obviously used it and saved it. So the only cup I could find that had like this kind of shape like you get in a, you know, a takeaway is this clear plastic one. And it does fit on there. So while I was going through the process, I just thought it might be a good little quick tutorial for our live. Let me just go back and see if I've missed any comments. So I've got gave my mat, okay, just heard you reply, yeah, got all that. I've been trying to learn the shortcut keys after the Canvas update, never really used them before, so don't know which ones are new. Some of the shortcut keys don't work for me, Vicky, on a Mac. I think it's just a case of trying them and see what works and what doesn't. Alison's saying, you're on my mobile today, blooming rugby's on. The other Alison is saying, hi Ashley and my crafty friends had terrible backache, which is why I haven't been on. Oh, Alison. Well, I can sympathise with that because I have a bad back and they do cause terrible pain, don't they? Yes, it is a cup cozy. We've got that one right. Lynn's saying, hi Ashley, it's Lynn from a sunny but cool Costa Blanca. Happy to be here, glad you're feeling better. Anna's saying, glad you're with us again. Alison, hi Ashley, bit late, don't worry Barbara, I'm literally only just starting. Caroline's saying, hiya Ashley and the gang. I have a couple of those in my stash too, hoping to make something from fabric. I don't drink hot drinks usually, so it hasn't been a priority. Okay. Linda Lee saying hello from New York. Lovely, got some Costa ones in my cupboard. We'll give this a go. Okay, fab. Right, so literally I'm just going to grab a pen. So you should all be able to see my desktop. I'm watching it on my phone as well, so it looks as though everything is looking okay. And I've just realised I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got like 10 or 11 lights in this room that are in the ceiling, and the one directly above where I'm sat is out. But hopefully you can still see everything okay. It's looking okay on my screen. So Charlotte's saying, I love that they have shortcuts for welding, etc., since I like to work from the layers panel. Yeah, and have you all seen that little update I posted, was it yesterday or Friday, showing you what the updates are in the new Canvas Workspace now that they've corrected the problem with the OS Mac Big Sur. So we can now drag and drop files onto our Canvas Workspace for Computer Mat, and we can also double click on a cutting file and it will open in the downloadable version, which is great. Love the graph paper. Yeah, it's Stampin' Up, JD Cougar. I sell this in my Stampin' Up shop, so if you have access to a Stampin' Up demonstrator, you should be able to get it. Barbara's saying looks good here. Okay, that's fine. You can decorate with HTV or embroidery. Yeah, definitely. As I say, this was literally, I just made this yesterday afternoon just to try it. But yeah, I mean, you know, you could put a heart on it if you wanted to make it as a Valentine gift. Like you say, heat transfer vinyl would be good. And as I say, I don't know whether this is a standard size Cosy for everybody's cups, because it just says pumpkin on it, so I've no idea where I got this from. But anyway, we'll see how we go. So I just thought I'd recreate this, and then obviously if you've got one, you know, at home anywhere that you can take apart, you can follow along, or you can generally find these templates on the internet. If all else failed, you could just print one off and do exactly the same. Yeah, drag and drop is so handy. Right, so literally I've got my black pen, the ones that came with my, you know, machine originally. These ones sit in this, you know, this little small pen holder, but you could use anything. So I'm just gonna, I've got some white copy paper, and I'm just going to draw around this. Now, you know, this is, as I say, nothing special. I could make it a little bit bigger. I might actually just extend that line a little bit and just make it a fraction bigger. So I'm just drawing around this, trying not to get my head or my hands in the camera. And let me see if I've got a little ruler that I can just join these extended lines. Okay, so I didn't do this little extension bit with this one yesterday. I literally just made this. In fact, it goes that way because it's kind of slightly shaped, this one. So I just literally made this from the template, but we'll try making a little bigger one and see. Just knocked my empty cup over, so that's rattling around my desk. So let me move that so it doesn't get on everybody's nerves. So I'm literally now just going to scan this into the ScanNCut machine. Mandy G saying, yay, finally the fix for Macs. Thanks for the update. Don't forget the thumbs up and the like button, gang. Oh, thank you. Right, so I'm just going to bring in just my regular ScanNCut map for this. If you've got the scanning map, you could use that. I don't actually have a scanning map for my SDX. I used to have one for my CM, but when I sold that machine, I sold everything with it. So let me just flick you over to the ScanNCut machine, and then we'll get going. I've just seen something about seam allowance. Let me see what we're saying. So JD Cougar's saying seam allowance is definitely needed. Yeah, I added a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You could add more, but I'm just going to kind of hopefully tonight recreate what I did yesterday afternoon. If it all goes wrong, you know, it won't be a Sunday Night Live, would it, without something going wrong? Is there a reason you don't scan the actual object? Not really, no, but I suppose I could, but I just thought it'd be easier probably to just draw around it and scan it. I think I might be a bit worried about maybe it getting stuck in the machine. Right, let me try and move you down a little bit. So I'm going to hit the home button. I've got my mat loaded. Hopefully we're all still okay and you can see everything. I'm going to go to scan. See if we can come in a bit closer. And I'm going to go to scan to cut data. And I'm using that because I want to save the scanned image to then be able to, you know, add my seam allowance, okay? If this was just a stamped image that I wanted to cut out, then I'd just use scan to direct cut. So I'm going to start, oh, it's telling me to move the scanning lever, and I'm just going to scan that through, and while that's scanning I'm just going to come back and look at my phone, which has got the comments on. Vicky's saying, Charlotte, it's too thick. Oh, you mean to put the thing on? I think it probably would go through, Vicky. It's just that I'd be, like I say, I'd be a bit worried about it maybe getting stuck in the machine. So Barbara's saying, my hubby did my update for me, went on into Canvas today to design a card, wanted some balloons, found some in the design and just clicked on them and they appeared on the design. Hey presto. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier, Barbara, having the, you know, double click or the drag and drop. Heather's saying, was there any reason why you use the calligraphy pen? Is it because it shows up better on the scan? It's not the I can't even say it. It's not the calligraphy pen, Heather. It's just one of the black or one of the coloured pens that came with the little pen holder. Okay, so where are we? Back on the screen. So let's just drag in the handles to isolate this scan now. Not sure how well you're going to see this. I'm trying to bring you in so you can see it a bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to say okay. That's hopefully going to recognise my black outline on the white paper. I'm going to click on the first icon, which is just telling the machine I just want an outline around this shape. So it's now going to process that. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to save it into the machine temporarily. JD Cougar's saying we can see great. Oh, fab. Thank you for letting me know, because I literally have like 4 cameras around me. I have the one that's pointing down at the desk, I have the one that's pointing on the ScanNCut machine, I have my iPad on because that's where I work everything from, and then I have my phone in front of me where I read all the comments. So sometimes it's a bit crazy trying to keep up with everything. So I'm going to say OK, and then I'm just going to go to the home button and say OK to delete all patterns. So I can unload the mat now, because that scanned image should be saved into the machine now. Okay, so I'm going to go retrieve data from the machine, jump to the last page, and here's the one I've just scanned. There's the one I did yesterday, which is the Cosy I've just shown you. And this is the one I've just done now. So I'm going to select that. It will appear on my mat. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to go into Edit, Object Edit, and then I'm going to go to the seam allowance icon, which is the one that looks like a black square with like a dotted square on the inside of it. So I'm going to choose that. My width for my seam allowance is automatically set to 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to say switch it on and say OK. And it's now put the seam allowance around my saved shape from my scan. Okay. So all I need to do now is bring in my fabric mat. I've got a piece of fabric that I've already cut, and I did this all yesterday afternoon. So this is literally just about 12 by 12. Now I'm using my fabric mat, but you could use your CM mat with the high tack support sheet on. That would do exactly the same, okay? And I've done that wrong now. Oh dear me, needs to be the other side down. So it needs to be right side down, wrong side up. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but I want to draw the sew line with my fabric pens. So to do that, I usually try to remember to do it on the wrong side. What you're saying, after all these years, I still get confused by the two scan options. I wish the description was easier to understand, or perhaps it's just me. Okay, well, yeah, if you just think of it as scan to cut data is basically scan to save. And the other one is just literally, I want to scan and I want to use my machine to cut it straight out. Just try to remember the data is something you said. See, Mandy's just said it as well now. Sorry, Vicky's just said it as well now. I've only just seen that comment. Be making face masks, JD Cougar is saying. Right, let's go back to the machine. I'm going to load this mat now back into the machine. Now this fabric mat of mine has been used quite a bit, so I don't know how sticky it is. So like I say, you know, this could all go horribly wrong, but it wouldn't be a Sunday Night Live without something going wrong, would it? So I'm going to put my fabric blade in, and you can see the screen, and I've got my object. So before I do anything, I'm going to come to the icon where I can duplicate my shape, because obviously I need a front and a back, and I'm going to flip one so that when I cut these out and put the fabrics right sides together, they'll be in the right orientation. So the first one at the top I'm going to leave. The one I've just created the duplicate for, I'm going to flip using the mirror icon button, which is here. And I'm not sure how well you'll see it, but this cup cozy thing that I've drawn round has got a pointed corner here in the top right, and it's more rounded in the top left. So when I flip it, this pointed corner should go over to the left. Okay, so I've got two cozies, both with a 1/4 inch seam allowance on, and one is flipped, so that when I put the right sides of the fabric together to sew it, they should hopefully be in the right orientation. I've got my fabric blade in the machine. I'm going to say okay. See, again, I've done that wrong, sorry. I need the pen. So I'm going to take I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to get it would help if you could see. I'm going to get my little pen holder, and this is the holder that came with the pen I've just used to draw around the cardboard cozy. So you think you get about 6 colours, don't you? Is it black, brown, red, green, purple and pink? Something like that. Vicky, I've just seen your comment. Yeah, I would draw before I cut, you're right. Sorry. And then these are the fabric pens, so they're the same size. One's got purple around the top, that means it's air erasable, and the other one, which is in the storage compartment underneath the mat, is a pale blue strip around the top, and that's the water erasable one. So I'm just going to use my air erasable pen, drop this into the holder and put the pen in, lock it in place, just bring you back to the screen. I don't like moving you a lot because I know some people get motion sickness, don't they, when they, you know, keep seeing cameras moving around. So I'm going to say okay, select and draw. Wait for that to process, which it has done now, and I'm going to say start. It's telling me to move the scanning lever back on the machine. So I'm doing as I'm told. I'm going to say OK and start. And that is hopefully going to draw the 2 lines where I'm going to sew on. So let's just see. Yeah, I saw all the problem solving you do makes us more confident users. Would you draw before you cut? Yeah, okay, I've seen that. Thanks, Vicky. It's like you know what you need to do, but then the minute I'm trying to show everybody, I kind of mess up. But you know, that's the way it goes, isn't it? So that's finished. I'm going to say OK. So now I am going to change the pen to the blade. Okay, so I'm going to take the pen out, just open this up and put the lid on the pen so it doesn't dry up. And I'm going to put the fabric blade in. As I say, if you've not got a DX and the fabric blade, just use one of those high-tack support sheets on an old mat, and then you could do this with a CM model. Okay, so that's that gone in there now. I'm just going to flip you back to the screen. I'm going to say go back. Oh no, I didn't need to do that. I'm going to say select and I'm going to say cut this time. So I've drawn what will be my sew line, and now hopefully it's going to cut round it with that 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. So I'm going to say start and hope that this mat is sticky enough for this fabric and that we can get it cut. So I'm going to flip you back to my desk. I'm going to unload the mat. And then Mandy's saying, so does it know the inside line is a draw line because you added the seam allowance? Yes. So Barbara's saying, but Ashley, you mess up much less than me. And if you didn't show me what to do, I wouldn't know anything to mess up anyway. Okay, we should be back on my desk now. I'm just going to peel the fabric away. So now I've got my 2 pieces and you should be able to see my draw line in purple, which is my air erasable pen. Let me just get this mat out of the way just for a minute. So if you can see, the one on the top, the angular pointy corner is on the right, and the one on the bottom, the angular pointy corner is on the left, and that's because I flipped this one. And hopefully, fingers crossed, when I put these now right sides together, they will line up. Can you see? So if I hadn't have flipped one, if I cut them both, let's do it how they were on the mat. So if I cut them both in that orientation, when I went to put them together, they wouldn't be right. Does that make sense? So because I flipped one, when I come to sew them together in a few minutes, they're going to be right. Okay, so that's the 2 pieces for the outside. Now I used felt as my piece for the middle. You could use wadding or batting, something like that. I couldn't find anything, to be fair, that was thin enough. All the batting I seem to have spare at the moment is very thick high loft, and I know I've got some of that Insel Bright somewhere, which would have been perfect, but I just couldn't find it. But I know it's in this room somewhere, and all my batting is generally in one of the boxes in my Alex cube. So whether I've moved it recently when I've been tidying up and I've just put it back in the wrong box, but anyway, I decided to use felt yesterday, so I just thought I'll stick with the felt, and that's what I'll do today. So that's my two pieces, and then this is my piece of felt. Now this is just ordinary craft felt, you know, that cheap felt that you get in packets of like multicolours or you know, mixed colours. It's kind of A4 size, and just to save time I've already ironed a piece of heat and bond on to the back of it, and I'm now just going to remove the paper. But one thing I have forgot to do is plug in my iron. So if you just give me a minute, and I'm just going to plug my little iron in. Because I'm actually hoping to make the whole thing tonight. You know, sewing it as well. Not sure how we'll get on, but that's what I'm hoping to try and do. So let me just plug my little iron in, and I'm just going to bring in my Cricut Easy Press mat. So let me just catch up before I go to cutting. Have we frozen? I've got everything plugged in. We shouldn't be frozen. Can you just all let me know if we're still okay while I just catch up with the comments? Barbara's saying, that's so true for me also, so really appreciate all Ashley does. Vicky's saying, it's like remembering to cut a right sleeve and a left sleeve, yeah. Hi Doreen, she's saying, been looking for the live video. Hopefully this is it. Yes, it is, Doreen, this is live. Should the title be 7th of February or am I missing something? Oh, have I put February? See? I told you something always goes wrong. No, it should be 7th of January. Oh no, you're right. Sorry, it should be the 7th of February and I've put 7th of January. Goodness sake. Everyone's still saying okay. Let me just go back because loads of comments started jumping up then and I've missed what everyone's saying. Yeah, sorry. So Doreen, yes, you're right. I've put January instead of February. Thermal curtain lining is thin, Jason's saying. So would that do to go in between the two pieces of fabric, Jason? Is that what you mean? Vicky's saying, yes, you're in the right place. Alison D is saying, woot woot, rugby finish, you live on the 50-inch. Oh dear. Much better, this is great to watch. Doreen Gorman, you are in the right place. Yeah, okay. I think we're okay. Everyone's saying okay. Yes, you are. It's just the title is showing as the 7th of January. Oh my lord. I'll have to change it later. Sorry. Still okay, not frozen. Okay, Ashley, you are so tidy when you craft. I always end up in a mess. I kind of am a bit tidy, but the problem is when I'm doing these lives, I end up, I've got, you know, quite a big desk space and I end up working in like 6 inches square. But anyway, not to worry. Everything okay? Everyone's saying I'm getting to the loading. I'm getting the loading spinner a bit, but figured it's my slow internet, not frozen though. January did go fast too. Yeah, it did. Right, okay, so back to the heat and bond saga. So yeah, so this is my piece of felt with the heat and bond on the back. So now I'm going to bring in my regular mat, the one that I did the scan on, and I don't use, before anybody asks, the fabric mat when I'm using anything with heat and bond on. I always use my regular mat, okay? So it's going heat and bond, which is shiny side, which you can see hopefully in the screen, heat and bond side down onto my regular mat, and I'm also going to use my regular blade, not my fabric blade. Jason's saying yes, it's a heat conductor and it goes through the machine. Okay, that's good to know. As I say, I have that Insul Bright, which is very, very thin, and it has, I think it has like aluminium foil or something in it. And I know I've got it, I just can't find it. So let me flip you back. So I'm going to load this mat now into the machine. I'm going to take out my fabric blade and I'm going to put back in my regular black top blade for my machine, okay? Let's just move you back to the screen. So now I'm going to hit the home button. So I'm just looking away for a few minutes now, so you'll have to bear with me. And I'm going to say, yes, it's okay to delete all patterns. And then I'm going to come back to retrieve data to the machine, jump to my last page and find that original scan. And there it is on my mat, and I'm going to say, okay. Now I want to cut my felt smaller than my fabric, because this is, you don't have to do this, this is just something I always tend to do whenever I'm using a batting or a wadding in any of my sewing projects. I always tend to make them smaller so that when I'm sewing the fabric, I'm literally just sewing the fabric together and I'm not going through fabric and batting and fabric, if that makes sense, because I just think it makes your seams very bulky. So you could cut this in exactly the same size as this is here if you wanted to, but I always make mine smaller. So this is something else that I do, and you can do this on any model machine, and you've probably seen me do it before because there is a video on my channel from quite a few years back. So here's the original shape that I scanned and added just the exact outline to. This isn't the one with the seam allowance, okay? This is just the original scan. I'm going to come into Edit, Object Edit, and I'm going to come to the offset icon and I'm going to select that. Now normally you see me click the plus button and add an offset around the outside. This time I'm going to use the minus icon and I'm going to take it until it's minus 2.5, which is a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to say OK. Now on the CM model, I think it just changes the size of what's on your screen. On the DX and SDX models, it adjusts and gives you an additional shape. So this is my original shape, so I don't need that. This is my smaller one. I can see that this is smaller than this. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. So I'm going to delete this original shape. So I'm going to say OK and send that to the trash. So this now is what I'm going to cut in felt, and it should be a 1/4 inch smaller than what I've just cut in fabric. Okay, so I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to do a background scan and start the machine so that I can position that shape on the felt. And now while that's doing that, I'm just going to come back to my, in front of me where all the comments are, and see if I'm missing anything. Everything seems to be okay so far. So I'm not sure how well you can see that. I can see that, but I'll just come into the wrench and make the background lighter in the hope that you can see it better. So here's my piece of grey felt, and here is my scanned smaller shape. Okay, I'm going to say OK, select and cut and start. So I'm on my regular mat with the heat and bond side on the felt down, and I'm on my regular blade. And I think I'm up to date with everybody's comments. And if for any reason you make any comment or you ask me a question and I miss it, just message me, you know, after the live, because these live comments don't always necessarily show up on the replay. Right, that's done that twice, and I'm just going to pause the machine, and I'm just going to lift up a corner of my felt and see if it has actually cut through. And I think it actually has. But we'll let the machine do another cut and see. So we'll press start. I know you didn't see that, but basically I just touched the pause button on the side of the ScanNCut, because it obviously wants to cut it more, because it is thicker felt. I'm not sure how thick this felt is, but I'm just going to let it do one more. If it tries to do another cut, I'm going to stop it. Oh, no, there you go. It must think 3 is enough. So I'm just going to move the ScanNCut out of the way, unload this mat and bring you back to my desk. So I'm just going to peel away the felt with the heat and bond, and obviously I've still got all that heat and bond that I can use. And then anytime I use fabric with heat and bond on the back of it, I always save it. Have one of those big 12 by 12 inches, you know, zip type Ziploc bags, and I keep all my fabric that's got heat and bond in there. And then, you know, if I ever need to do a project again, I've already got some stuff with heat and bond on it. I do tend to put the back on it, and it doesn't always stick, but I kind of you know, just encase it. So I'll probably pack it away, you know, like this, folded up with the heat and bond on it. Sometimes I don't, I just put it in, but if I remember, I try to keep the paper backing with it. So here is my piece of felt now, cut, and it's got the heat and bond on the back. So let me just catch up with comments. Jason Dealey is saying, is it cutting 3 times because it's a DX model? It thinks because it's the auto blade, Jason, yeah, that it knows this is thicker. I'm not sure how well you'll see this in the camera, but it is a thicker felt. So because it's tested the depth, it's decided it wants to cut it more than once. Now, it probably would have peeled off. The one I did yesterday only cut once, but that was a different felt. I didn't use this grey felt yesterday. The one I used in the Cosy I showed at the beginning had a cream coloured felt, which probably, from actually thinking about it now, was probably thinner than this, and that literally cut in one go. This probably I would have been able to peel it off the mat after the 2 cuts, but you know, I might as well just let the machine do what it wants to do while we're doing the live. So that's my piece. Let me just see what we're saying. My CM doesn't have an offset, only a seam allowance. Thought it did, Vicky. I'm sure there's an offset somewhere. It might not be where it was on mine. It must do, because that video I did years ago was on my old CM600 or CM900. Heather's saying, does the SDX 2200 always prompt you if the needle pressure 1 or 2 on the side is in the wrong place? Yeah, the lever bar, it does. It always tells you. So you just do what the machine says. If you go to, sometimes it'll start cutting and then it'll stop and it'll say change the lever. Sometimes it does it before you start. So just do whatever it tells you to do. Jason's saying, so does it do the same construction card? I'm thinking of buying the DX. Anything that's thick, that it recognises as being thick, Jason, it will, of its own accord, decide whether it needs to do more than one pass or not. Yes. Okay, right, let's crack on. So I'm going to bring one of the pieces in. So this now, hopefully you'll be able to see this. I'll try and zoom in a little bit. So you should now be able to see I've got the fabric, which was the seam allowance. I've got the purple drawn line, which is my sew line. That was taken from my original scan. And then the felt is now 1/4 of an inch smaller than that original line. Okay, so I'm just going to iron this onto here now to set it in place, just to make it a little bit easier for me to sew. So I think what I'll do, I'll just bring my piece of heat and bond paper back in and just use that. I could probably iron straight over this, but so I'm just going to give it a quick little run over. And it's not sticking. Why is it not sticking? Let's do it this way. I know, we'll turn it over and we'll hit it with the iron this way. I don't know why it's not sticking, because heat and bond generally sticks really well, really quickly with an iron. Oh, that's stuck now. Maybe it didn't like being in that paper. So I'll just put that back in there for now so it's out of the way. So the heat and bond is ironed to the wrong side of one of my pieces of fabric. I'm just going to move the iron out of the way before I burn myself. So just bear with me 1 minute. Let me move this iron without hopefully knocking the cameras and disconnecting us or whatever. So Mandy G is saying, my CM900 has an offset, Vicky. Yeah, I'm sure it definitely does, Vicky, because like I say, that trick I've just shown you, showing how to do the minus offset, I did in a video years ago. And it would have been probably, if it wasn't with my 900, it would have been my 600. So Jason's saying offset is on the software as it could not find it also on my CM. It's definitely there, but I've not got a CM machine now to tell you where it is, but there's definitely I think it was in a software update. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. So we've got the felt ironed to this piece. These are going to go right side together, and if I can get my machine turned on, I'm going to sew it all together while you're with me. So just let me have a quick tidy up of my desk, because I need to move my ScanNCut machine out of the way now. So I just need to turn it off and just push it back. need to plug my sewing machine in. So just bear with me for a minute while I do this. Switch that on. Just moving my cameras, that's all. So give me a minute. And let's see if we can get this. So hopefully in a minute you should be able to see my sewing machine. I'm just going to get a quick drink and let me see what we're saying while we're waiting. So Charlotte is saying, I think all the SDX machines prompt a level change when needed. I get it on my SDX. Yeah, on any of the machines with the auto blade technology, with that lever on the side, it will tell you when you need to move it into position 1 or 2. So Vicky's saying mine is a CM550. I think it was the first model available in the US. I've had a firmware upgrade, but still no offset. I guess I could transfer to canvas and do it. Yes, you could, Vicky. Definitely you could do it that way. I'm just having a quick drink, sorry. Heather's saying I was thinking that if it's in the wrong place, it would tell me. Answer yes, thank you, yeah. Dawn's saying, sorry, I am so late. Don't worry, Dawn, it's fine. It should all still be recording, so you could always go back and watch it later. Mandy's saying you're using all the toys today, Ashley. So see the sewing machine. Okay, yeah, you can see well. It is a great view of the sewing. Brilliant. Ashley, have you got... Yes, I have. Sorry, I have, yes. Right, I'm just going to turn away from the comments for a minute and try and concentrate on the sewing. So you can see the Cosy here. I'm just going to put a little mark about 3 inches apart with a pen on this top. It doesn't matter where you do it, top or bottom would be better. And that's only to remind me not to sew there, because obviously we need to turn it right side out, okay? And I'm just using a regular pen because I've just fastened the ScanNCut up and all my other pens are in there, and you're not going to see it because it's on the, what do you call it, the wrong side, okay? So you could pin or clip this, you know, if you're new to sewing, but save me getting up again. I'm just going to do it without. So I'm just going to start where I've made that first mark, sew all the way around and stop where I made the other mark, okay? And I've got my needle in the middle position, and I'm feeling pressure here because Jason's watching and he's like the super sewer person and I'm just, you know, like the little hobby sewer. So if I'm making any mistakes, Jason, sorry. Okay, so, and I'm going to follow this purple line, and that's the only reason I got the ScanNCut machine to draw it. You don't have to draw the sew line. If you wanted to, you could literally have just, you know, added the offset and cut it. But I just find that things go together a bit neater when you use the drawn line on the machine. So let's get going and see how we get on with this. need to go another. So I can see I'm not on the line, but I am actually trying to keep my head out of the camera, but I'm not that far off it. I mean, I was on it here, I've just come off it ever so slightly here, but that's just the way it goes. I'm just making sure that my fabric is still together, and it is, so I'll keep going on. I'm kind of looking at this on a kind of downward angle. Ooh. Don't take your eyes off while you're sewing, Ashley. I only had this machine a few days, so I'm still trying to get used to it. So when I get back here, I'm going to do a few back stitches, because that's where I'm going to turn it right side out. Right, I'm going to flip you back to my desk just for a minute, and then I can hopefully catch up with any comments, and we can get this turned right side out. So you should be able to see me back at my desk now. And I know what I've not got, my scissors, hang on. So I'm just going to clip the corners just to take some of the bulk away, that's all. Right, so what you all saying? Let me see what you're saying. Caroline saying, I have to go, we'll watch the rest and replay. No worry, Caroline, thank you. Did you go for a VFAT? Yes, I did, Mandy. Hope so. You can help me suss out using it. Oh, and thumbs up everyone, Caroline's saying. Vicky's saying, Caroline, bye and thanks for the reminder. Jason Dealey, sorry, you're doing fab, really enjoying. Thanks, Jason. Mine's going for a service next week. Had it about 5 years and have never had it done. Okay. You can use the needle button to take one stitch. Not sure what you mean. Heather's saying amazing multitasking, actually. Right, so I'm literally, hopefully you can see my desk, and I'm literally just flipping this back now. Oh, amazing multitasking, Ashley. Right, okay, thank you. You know, I left quite a big turning. I suppose you don't have to leave it that big, but this felt is actually quite sturdy, so you know that gap just helps. I'm just going to use my old embossing stylus. This is what I tend to use when I'm poking out corners. Right, how are we doing? You can use the needle button to take one stitch. Vicky, you'll have to explain to me what you mean about that, because I'm not sure what you mean. Is it to do with the sewing machine? Because obviously it's new to me, so you know, there's things I don't know about it yet. So I'm just going to fold in now where I left it open. And obviously you can see your purple, if you use the draw line, you can see, you know, where to turn that in as well. But usually I find if you put your fingers in where the opening is and pull it, it kind of, you know, goes together. And then I finger press it and then I iron it. And I think that looks kind of about right. So I'm just going to bring my little ironing mat back in. And try and get this as neat as I can. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a cup cozy, isn't it? You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll try and get it as best I can. So I'm just going to give it a quick press with this little iron. Now, there's several ways of fastening these. I am going to use snaps. That's what I used on the other one. You could put a button and a piece of elastic, but obviously you'd have to put the elastic in before you sewed it up. But as I say, this one, I just used the little cam snaps, and that's what I'm going to use again, and they just snap together. But it needs a bit of top stitching now just to seal up that gap. If you didn't want to top stitch it, you could use that double-sided, you know, hemming kind of tape and press it with the heat, and that would seal it up. So Vicky's saying on the Brother sewing machine, the needle up down button will take one stitch and stop. Ah, okay. I'll have to have a play with that tomorrow, unless I try it in a minute. Right, I'm going to flip you back anyway, and I'm going to try and do some top stitching. But as I say, it might not be brilliant top stitching because the angle that I'm looking at it is not that great, because I've got one of the cameras pointed at it. So we should be back at the sewing machine now. I'm going to put the foot down and I'm going to see if I can move the needle over. So Vicky, so Mandy's saying you love the V5. I don't know where I'd be without mine. Use it nearly every day. The automatic needle threader and cutter and the automatic foot up down functions are fab. That's about as far as I've got with mine, Mandy, just working out how to put those on. And Vicky's saying, whereas the green button will keep stitching if you don't hit it again. So it's the needle up, needle down button you hit once and it does it once. Is that what you're saying? Right, okay. Let me try and see if I can move my needle over for now. Just give me 1 minute. Oh, yeah. Okay, so for me, as I say, I've got a camera stuck literally here, there. So it's kind of in my way, so I'm looking on a funny angle. So what I'm basically doing here, I'm just going to use the edge of my foot on my fabric and I've moved my needle over, and I think that's as far as I can go. So I'm just going to do some top stitching. As I say, it might not be great top stitching, but it is what it is. Then we'll get the snaps out and we'll be nearly done. And then I'm going to come back and look at your comments in a minute. just going to move that thread out of the way. I think I've got a little bit of a pucker there, but right, let's go back. So I have got a little bit of a pucker there, so we'll make that the inside. Just cut my little, got a little thread there. I'm going to have to investigate that, Vicky, and have a play with it. You could use Velcro, yeah, definitely. Barbara's saying, worth having a couple of these in the car for carry-out coffees, definitely. So yeah, you could put, as I say, you could put like what thin elastic in one end and put a button on the other end, but obviously you need to sew your elastic in before you sew up your sides. I've seen people do these with, you know, like girls' hair elastics. Velcro would work. This has been an extremely fast project, even with all the going back and forth between machines. You did a fabulous job of showing us how easy it can be done. Thanks so much. I don't know what Sophia is meaning, if anybody can keep an eye on that. And Mandy G is saying looks great. So what I'm going to do now is just give it one quick last press, so that I can just move this iron out of the way, because I'm convinced that I'm like going to burn myself. So I'm just going to unplug the iron, and then it's out of my way. So this is what we've got so far. So now I'm just going to bring my snaps in and put a snap on it. And these snaps I got from Amazon, and it's just a kit and it came with everything you need. So should we do a white one? So you need 2 of the ones with the prongs, and then you need 2 flat ones, and they do look slightly different, so you have to make sure you've got the right bits. And I'll try and hold them up to show you, but I have done a quick video on these which will be on my channel, I can't remember when. So if I hold my hands up, and you can, I don't know how well you'll see, try and angle my hand down a little bit. These 2 look like push pins, they've got like a prong on them, and these 2 look very similar, but they're slightly different. So this one, the depth is a lower profile, and the circle is bigger, and then this one, the circle is smaller and the profile is higher. So you need one to go with a prong and the other one to go with a prong, if that makes sense. But like I say, there will be a video on my channel which will hopefully make it clearer. So I'm just going to put these down for 1 minute, and then with this kit you get this pokey tool. So the way that I'm going to do mine, I'm just going to, you could put 2 on it. I suppose I'm just trying to see if it's any bigger than the original one. Let's just have a quick look how it compares, because I did make this one a bit bigger in the length, didn't I? So it is a bit longer. So I suppose what you could do, you could put, I've only fastened this one with 1 snap. I don't necessarily think it needs, you know, 2. But what you could do, you could put 1 snap here, you could put a snap a bit further along, and then if you used the first snap and it was too big, you could kind of move it over a bit. As I say, I'm only going to use one, so I'm literally going to overlap these by about 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to stick this pokey tool right through everything without trying to stick my fingers with it. So let me see what we're saying. So Jason's saying the manual is great bed reading time to put you to sleep. It's a fab machine. Did you get a knee lifter bar to bring up the foot like that? Yes, I did, Jason. And the manual is massive, isn't it? I thought the manual with my Janome was a big manual, but this one's even bigger. And I tell you what I've also done, I've downloaded it onto my iPad as well. So I can, like you say, look at it when I'm in bed on my iPad. But I did yesterday, before I started making this one, I got the manual out and sat and tried to work a few things out. So, right, let's get back to this. So I've poked that all the way through. Are those snaps plastic? Yes, they are. If you go to Amazon and you type in cam snaps, K-A-M, and then snaps, this set will come up. It's got 15 different colours. You get the setter tool, you get the piercing tool. Let me bring the box in. You get a screwdriver, you get a spare part for it with some spare ends. You get a spare black section, which is what the snaps sit in, and you get a bigger one so you can do two different sizes of snap. And it came as a kit. You can buy the snaps on their own. I don't know that this one particularly, if it is made by Cam, the company KAM Cam, but this is what came up. So right, I'm going to take this out now. So I've got 2 holes. So with this first one, I'm going to get one of the Sophia Hernandez block. Thank you. Yes, plastic. Love the snaps. I got the setter to put them on dolls' clothes. Good idea. They're used for all sorts of things, aren't they, these? So I'm going to pop this one in from the outside. And then I'm going to get one of the flat ones and just pop that over the top. And then I'm just going to hold them together. So the one that looks like the push pin with the flat top goes into the black dish of your setter. So I'm trying to do this so you can see it, but mid-air at the same time. And then I'm going to push down and make sure that it looks right from both sides. And then you just clamp it firmly together. And then when you take it out, your snap is on, okay? So this is going to fasten like this. So on this side, I need the push pin to come from the underside. So I'm going to get hold of this and put it in from the wrong side, if you like. And depending on how thick your fabric is that you're using, when you go to put this other bit on top, you can kind of push them together and hear them click. But the bit that I'm going through here is where the felt is. So this is quite thick. So it's not actually, you know, kind of holding in place firmly at the moment. So that's why I'm being a little bit careful. So again, I'm just going to, the flat sides on the underside, I'm going to slide that into the dish. Just check that it looks okay from the underside. And then I'm going to press it down nice and firm. And then that's that one on. So you've got one end where you've got the flat bit and one end where you've got not a flat bit, if that makes sense. So then this will now snap together. Don't know if you heard that. And that's the Cosy. So if I bring in my cup, now this one that are made bigger will go on a bigger cup because this one slides further up. I'll snap this one together and show you. If you look at this one doesn't go all the way to the top of the cup because this one was slightly smaller. But this one, as I explained at the beginning, was made from this template, which I've obviously got from a cup. So I'm guessing, you know, it should fit. But that's why I'm thinking if you did make one bigger, I could always add another snap here next to it. And if it was too big for the cup, I could just move it over and snap it onto the second snap. So what do you reckon? That was today's quick little project. Well, I don't know how long I've been on here. How long have we been on? Oh, just over an hour and 20. So like, considering I've, you know, scanned, offsetted, cut, drawn and sewn, that's not too bad, is it? Susan Ayres saying thank you. Patty H is saying avoid getting a knockoff. I watched a video on the differences and Cam is a much better product. Like I say, I did type Cam in, but I can't actually see anywhere on it that it says Cam. Although, you know, don't know whether it does or not, but I suppose for what I need it for, it will be fine. It came from Amazon and it came really quickly, so. Vicky's saying, I think the bigger size allows it to slide higher on the cup. Okay, I'll have a look at that, Vicky. I thought it was for two different sizes because I think I read that this setter does T3, 5 and something else in sizes. So Vicky's saying, in Canada, mine is called a Babyville boutique. Funnily enough, I'd heard of that, but probably when I was YouTubing to try and find out about cam snaps, maybe that's where I came across that, but I do kind of remember seeing that. JD Cougar's saying cam snaps are great. If you go to the Cam website, they have lots of colours and lots of shapes. Yeah, I've seen them in other shapes, like in flowers and hearts and things like that. Lynn's saying thanks again for a great tutorial. Jason Dealey saying great project, will make a few for presents. Yeah, and I used the Cam snap on the hand sanitizer holder, which I've been making recently as well, and there'll be a video on that as well. This one is a metal one. I think this is it called Prim? This is a different type, but this one I used the Cam snap on. And all this fabric is from Maker's Superstore, and it was a 5-piece fat quarter bundle, just in case anybody is wondering. Mandy G's saying it's been a full-on crafty session tonight, Ashley. Patty's saying I was referring to the tool, sorry. Oh, right, okay, with you. Okay, this came as a kit, so. Cap, prong and socket. JD Cougar is saying it was really a great lesson and it shows how fast it can all be done. Yeah, just think, I mean, you know, if you were doing this without trying to avoid cameras and looking for comments and all that kind of thing, you'd be able to whip these up in no time, wouldn't you? Valerie's saying, thank you for the video. Have a great day. Yes, same to you, Valerie. Alison's saying, very nice and easier to make than I thought. Thanks for the live tutorial. You're welcome, Alison. Heather's saying, love the Cam snaps. Thanks for today, Ashley. So inspiring, just brilliant. Oh, thank you. Susan's saying, so cute. Barbara's saying, great for hot drinks, watching the rugby when we can go again. Yeah, definitely. Like, was it you said it before, keep a few in the car? Take them with you, they fold up, you know, I mean, when you snap them together, they fold nice and flat, so you could keep one in a handbag or something like that. JD Cougar's saying the hand sanitizer holder will be a great project too. Yeah, and that's a nice easy one to do. That's a pre-record. I've not done that as a live. or I'm not doing that as a live, I should say. It's been pre-recorded and it's been scheduled for my channel, so look out for that one. Ellen is saying a simple but very effective project where you have demonstrated the scan and cut and using your sewing machine. Thank you. Thanks for the tutorial, lots of skills learned. To be fair, really, it wasn't about the sewing, it was more about how to just get something and scan it and make a cutting file from it. But I did think, you know, as it was fairly simple, it might work as me sewing it as well, so that's why I thought I'd try it. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. Has anybody got any last questions or comments before we go? I can see there's 97 people here. Thank you very much. If you could all please remember to give it a thumbs up under the video, that would be brilliant. It does help the channel, it helps YouTube push it out to more people so that more people can watch, you know, that are looking for how to use their scan and cut and that kind of thing. Charlotte's saying, sometime could you compare and contrast to harken back to high school, the print and cut and the scan to cut? Yes, yes, I think you understand what you mean, Charlotte. You want me to show the two differences between, yeah, scan to cut data? Yes, I can do that. Could maybe do that next week. Alison's saying they remind me of some tie bags I made years ago. With a needle and thread. I know what you mean, Alison. I think I had the same ones. Vicky's saying Amazon in Canada does have the cam pliers and plenty of colours to buy separate from the tool. Yeah, I didn't have the complete thing, so that's why I just went for a kit. But if I'd already got snaps, then obviously I would have looked for a, you know, the tool as well, but I didn't have them. So the other one is, as I say, is called a prim, and that one, these ones here, are metal, and this one has a thing with it, but you have to bash it with a hammer, which is a bit of a pain because it's you know, very noisy. So I wanted something that was easier and quieter, and that's why I went for the cam snap. But you know, they can be used for all sorts, can't they? I've got a couple of projects lined up to try in the hoop projects that use cam snaps, so at least I've got those now. Charlotte's saying yes please. Okay, love my scan and cut, thanks for the tutorials. So basically next week then, if we try doing the scanning again, where we do scan to direct cut or scan to cut data, okay, we could do that next week, that's not a problem. Right, I'm just going to have a quick drink of my juice. And then when this ends, I'll remember to go back and change it to the 7th of February from the 7th of January. So sorry for confusing Doreen at the beginning. Okay, I'll give it a few more minutes and just see if there's any last minute comments or questions that pop up. But then if not, I think I'll be saying goodbye and hope that you're all keeping safe and well. And, you know, be seeing you all next week. But I'll give it a few more minutes. So Sue's saying, think it's our computers. I always have to wear earphones for Ashley or plug in an external speaker. Well, the sound is looking okay. Last week people were saying they thought it was too loud. So is somebody saying they can't hear? Have I missed a comment? Somebody's obviously made a comment, because I can see Vicky saying now you might need to turn up the volume on your computer. Oh, I've seen it now. I can barely hear, but I think this is a great idea. Is it my computer? Okay. Well, like I say, everything is set exactly the same as it was last week. So hopefully it should be okay. I know there's been a problem once I've done a live, and then if you go back and watch a live session, but at a later date. There's been a problem with YouTube. It's not with me, it's happening with lots of other YouTubers. There's a problem with YouTube that when it's playing back something that was recorded live, it's playing it back at a lower volume. But as I say, that's not an issue at my end, it's an issue with YouTube. And it's happening to quite a few YouTubers. I've seen quite a few people mention it. But as far as I can see here tonight, my volume on everything is the same as I normally have it. So okay, so Jason's saying, cannot wait to get going on the quilt along. I know, I need to get my head around that. I've got everything now, I think, from memory. I've got all the fabric, and I've got the batting, and I've got the zip and all that all put on one side. I mean, they're not going to be needed for a while, but the first block is going to be on the 23rd. And all the information is on the forum telling you what blocks I'm going to be using. And if you need to buy anything, there's a coupon code that will get you 10% off the bundle of stuff that makers have put together for me. And there's it tells you what the coupon code is on the forum as well. So if you need, if you want to follow along and use the same fabrics, and you need the fabrics, and you need a fabric mat and all that kind of stuff, all the information is in the quilt along section on my forum. Linda's saying, thank you so much, excellent tutorial. Karen is saying, thanks Ashley, great tutorial, you're welcome. Sue's saying, that's funny Ashley, because I can hear better on the recorded. Okay, how bizarre. But I know that is a YouTube issue. There's been lots of YouTubers complaining about it, that when they've been doing live streams and then people are going back and watching the record, the sound volume has gone down. But anyway, it is what it is. We all try our best and do whatever we can do. So right, if anybody's not got any last minute questions, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll speak to you all next week. If I miss any comments after I've ended the stream, you can always message me. Vicky's saying the sound is fine on my computer, but I do have to turn way up when on the big screen TV. Okay. I think a lot of it depends on how we're all watching, doesn't it? We're all watching on different devices these days. Like you say, some people are watching it on tellies, some people are watching it on phones, on iPads, on different tablets, on computers. It's just one of those things, isn't it? But as I say, as somebody that does this, it is difficult. It's not easy to get everything right all the time. Yes, YouTube is often very quiet. Bye all. Sound is fine. Don't worry, not complaining. Love lives. Thanks. It's fine. Don't worry. Right, I can't see. Thanks. Yeah, okay. Thanks again for a great tutorial, Jason. Okay, I can't see any last minute questions or anything popping up, so I am going to go now and go and get something to eat. So I'll speak to you all next week, and we'll try and do the different scan-ins next week as requested by Charlotte. Okay, take care, everyone.